Hey friends, thanks for checking out our tiny video. Today we're going to talk about reviewing for retention. This is brought to you by the incredible team at the Georgia Department of Education and Social Studies. So let's go. If you've been in education for a hot minute, then you have heard of Marzano. And so here's what he says. Marzano says content will fade in students' memories if it's not reviewed systematically. So why is that a big deal? Well, especially in 8th grade Georgia Studies, y'all, we have a lot of content to cover. And it is a tested area, which means that unlike other grades where you've got from day one to day last, which is essentially the last day of school, we usually have from day one to about 4 weeks before the end of the school year. So things are moving fast. How can we ensure that what we are covering in those earliest units is still sticking with the students by the time it comes time to test on them? Well, my friends, I propose to you this possible solution, and that is to conduct periodic cumulative reviews. What I mean by that is, how are you reviewing content from previous lessons or units as you progress through the year and address new standards and skills? Here's another piece of food for thought from Marzano. He says if the teacher doesn't address chronologies in subsequent units, but includes them in a comprehensive test at the end of the semester or year, I'm looking at you, Milestone, it's unreasonable to expect students to accurately remember what they learned about chronologies. So basically, are we doing our students justice? Are we setting them up for success if we only introduce it once and expect them to recall it in April or May? I say nay. So, how can we go about doing that? Well, here's a couple of ways that you can incorporate cumulative review. Begin by identifying crucial content and skills. So think about those learning targets. Perhaps a student had adequate knowledge of a learning target in unit 1. How has that progressed? Perhaps they demonstrated mastery. They were able to communicate their understanding, but now as you move on and check in at a later date, a later unit, they can maybe teach somebody else. That's one way to tackle it. Another way is to use those opportunities to clarify misconceptions. Were there any errors in their initial understandings? Cumulative review gives repeated opportunities to clear that up and check in. Look for growth also, vocabulary comprehension. Keep checking in on those vocabulary terms that have been introduced throughout the year, because those are the building blocks and the foundation of a lot of what they are able to retain. Source interpretation, especially interpretation of political cartoons, which is something students need to master at 8th grade. A good cumulative review would be to take a look at a political cartoon that they reviewed in a much earlier unit and check it out again to see that the growth in those skills. Making connections among topic and themes, connecting themes and enduring understandings. So think about the conflict that is studied in 8th grade. How can students make connections among the conflict that they learn about? How can students make connections among the foundations of the government to Georgia's present day government? Ultimately, here's your to-do list. Make a plan and determine the frequency. Some type of review after each unit is usually recommended, and it can and should be quick and straightforward. Above all, don't stop trying. Give it a whirl. And what I want to hear from you is, what does cumulative review look like in your class? What are you trying? Make sure you're following us on all of the socials and share.